There's something primal about gathering in the dark to share a story. It's a ritual that transcends time and culture, drawing us together in a circle of flickering light and shadow. Whether it's the warmth of a campfire or the hush of a dimly lit room, the act of storytelling connects us to something ancient within ourselves. This tradition is as old as language itself. From the earliest humans painting tales on cave walls to the scribes who carefully penned legends onto fragile parchment, stories have always been our way of making sense of the world and of each other. We lean in, captivated, as tales unfold that send shivers down our spines, urban legends that blur the line between fact and fiction. These stories thrive in the hush of night, when our imaginations are most alive and the ordinary feels just a little bit strange. Urban legends are the modern myths, evolving with every retelling. They serve as warnings, as entertainment, and as a way to process the chaos and uncertainty of the world around us. Each headline, each whispered rumor, adds a new layer to the legend. These tales tap into our deepest fears, reminding us that mysteries still lurk just beyond the edge of what we know. The unknown is always waiting, just out of sight, and it's this uncertainty that gives urban legends their power. Urban legends are puzzles, enigmas that challenge our sense of reality and invite us to play detective. We sift through clues, compare stories, and try to separate truth from fiction, even as the answers slip further away. Is there a monster lurking in the lake, waiting beneath the surface for an unsuspecting swimmer? Or is it just a trick of the light, a story born from fear and imagination? Could that shadowy figure haunting the road be real? Or is it simply the product of a restless mind and a long, lonely night? The beauty of these stories is that you rarely get a straight answer. The truth is always just out of reach, hidden in the mist, leaving us to wonder and speculate. Instead, what you get is a glimpse into the unknown, a thrill that keeps us coming back for more, generation after generation. The excitement of not knowing, of being just a little bit afraid, is what makes these stories unforgettable. The best stories don't have tidy endings. They leave us with wonder and questions lingering in our minds long after the fire has burned low. They spark our curiosity and invite us to imagine what might be lurking in the shadows. Urban legends stick with us, resurfacing in our thoughts when we're alone at night, when every creak and shadow feels like it could be something more. They become part of our personal folklore, shaping the way we see the world. These tales are more than just spooky stories, they're a shared cultural experience passed down from one generation to the next. They connect us to the past, to our ancestors, and to each other, weaving a tapestry of fear, curiosity, and wonder. And that brings us to one of the most baffling urban legends of all time, a phantom who terrorized Victorian London, defying logic and reason, and leaving a city in suspense. His story is a perfect example of how legends can take on a life of their own. We're going back in time to unmask the mystery of Spring-HeeledJack, a figure who leapt into legend and continues to haunt our imaginations to this day.
Things you only talk about at the back of the cave.
To understand Spring-HeeledJack, picture 19th century London, a city of wealth and poverty, progress and superstition. The Industrial Revolution filled the air with smoke and fog, turning streets into a maze of shadows. Gas lamps cast eerie pools of light, but most of the city was cloaked in darkness. The night was alive with fear. Anything could be hiding between the flickers. London was growing fast, crowded and anxious, with newspapers feeding the public's appetite for the macabre. Crime was rampant and strangers were viewed with suspicion. In this tense atmosphere, rumors and legends spread quickly. Imagine the damp chill, the smell of coal, the distant clatter of carriages. The city was modern yet shrouded in medieval gloom, a place ready to believe in monsters. And in the autumn of 1837, a new kind of monster was about to make his debut. The stage was set for Spring-HeeledJack. Our story begins in October 1837, on the mist-shrouded outskirts of London. The city, cloaked in autumn fog and flickering gaslight, was a place of both progress and superstition, where shadows seemed to move of their own accord. One chilly evening, a weary businessman making his way home through a lonely cemetery, suddenly witnessed something extraordinary. Out of the darkness, a tall, shadowy figure appeared, leaping over the iron railings with an unnatural, almost effortless grace. The figure landed directly in his path. Its appearance was terrifying, demonic, with sharply pointed ears, a long, angular nose, and eyes that glowed with an eerie, unnatural light. The man froze, paralyzed by fear, as the creature stared back at him. Overcome with terror, the businessman turned and ran, his footsteps echoing through the fog. But this was only the beginning of a series of strange and unsettling encounters that would soon grip the city. Just days later, near Barnes Common, a similar figure emerged from the shadows, ambushing a group of women. He was described as tall, cloaked, and moving with a speed and agility that seemed almost supernatural. The mysterious attacker never robbed or physically harmed his victims, but his sudden appearances and impossible leaps left them terrified. Witnesses described him vanishing into the night with leaps that defied belief. News of these bizarre sightings spread rapidly. The legend began to take shape, a phantom with phenomenal jumping ability, able to appear and disappear in the blink of an eye. Eyewitnesses claimed he could leap over high walls and even onto rooftops, as if propelled by hidden springs in his boots. The city was abuzz with rumors and wild theories. The press seized upon the story, printing sensational headlines and fueling the public's fascination. People from all walks of life debated the truth behind the mysterious figure. Soon the name Spring-HeeledJack was coined, equal parts comical and sinister, capturing the imagination of a city hungry for mystery. London buzzed with speculation. Was he a ghost, a demon, a clever prankster, or something else entirely? Theories flourished in pubs, parlors, and on every street corner. Thus, the mystery of Spring-HeeledJack was born. The city was hooked, and the legend was only just beginning to unfold. As sightings grew, Spring-HeeledJack's image became more bizarre and terrifying. He was tall, thin, dressed as a gentleman, but with a monstrous face, metallic claws, and glowing eyes. Some claimed he could breathe blue and white flames. He seemed impervious to harm, and his attacks were theatrical, accompanied by a high-pitched, ringing laugh. Victims, mostly women, described random, unpredictable assaults. He was a paradox, a devil in a top hat, a monster with showmanship. Was he one entity, or many stories woven together? Spring-HeeledJack became the ultimate Victorian bogeyman. The legend of Spring-HeeledJack might have faded into obscurity, dismissed as mere rumor or urban myth, if not for two infamous attacks that shocked Victorian London in February 1838. These chilling incidents would forever cement Jack's place in the city's dark folklore. On the cold night of February 19th, Jane Alsop, a young woman living on the outskirts of London, answered her gate after hearing a frantic knock. A man stood outside, claiming to be a policeman who needed a light, urgently requesting her help to catch Spring-HeeledJack. But as Jane handed him a candle, she was confronted by a terrifying figure dressed in a strange helmet and a tight white costume, his eyes burning with an unnatural red glow. Without warning, he seized her, tearing at her dress with cold, clammy claws. To Jane's horror, he spat a blue-white flame into her face, leaving her blinded and gasping for air. Jane's desperate screams echoed through the night, drawing her family and neighbors to her aid. The attacker, moving with inhuman agility, escaped into the darkness with a series of astonishing leaps, vanishing before anyone could catch him. Just 9 days later, on February 28th, Lucy Scales and her sister were walking through a dimly lit alley when a cloaked figure suddenly appeared. He exhaled a stream of fire directly into Lucy's face, causing her to collapse in violent convulsions. News of both attacks spread rapidly, causing widespread panic. Newspapers reported every detail, and the public's fear grew with each retelling. The police launched a full investigation, and the Lord Mayor himself addressed the case, urging calm but unable to offer reassurance. Jane Alsop's detailed testimony provided the most chilling and vivid description of Spring-HeeledJack yet, fueling even more speculation and dread. The city was gripped by terror. Groups of vigilantes armed themselves and scoured the foggy streets at night, determined to catch the mysterious attacker. But Spring-HeeledJack seemed to melt away into the shadows, always one step ahead. What began as a series of strange sightings had now escalated into a full-blown crisis, with the legend of Spring-HeeledJack haunting the imagination of an entire city. Decades later, in 1877, the legend reignited at a military barracks in Aldershot. Private John Regan, on guard duty, saw a strange figure approach, making a metallic sound. When challenged, the figure leapt beside him and slapped his face with a hand as cold as a corpse. Regan raised his rifle, but the figure just stared with glowing eyes and let out a high-pitched laugh. Then, with a mighty leap, it vanished over an embankment. Other soldiers confirmed someone had been there, baffled by the impossible escape. The incident was investigated by military officers and taken seriously. The legend was no longer just a civilian tale. Spring-HeeledJack had returned unchanged by time. The details matched earlier accounts. Cold touch, glowing eyes, impossible leaps. The phantom of the 1830s was back to haunt a new generation. The mystery deepened. Spring-HeeledJack was unstoppable. With London in panic, the hunt for Spring-HeeledJack began. The Lord Mayor received letters from citizens, and the investigation kicked off. Theories abounded. Some blamed aristocrats, especially the notorious Marquis of Waterford, known for wild pranks. Others believed it was a group of pranksters using spring-loaded boots. Some thought it was many copycats, inspired by the legend and media frenzy. The story became so powerful it created its own reality. Of course, some insisted Jack was supernatural, a demon or even an alien. For many, a demon seemed more plausible than a nobleman with springs. The legend thrived on uncertainty. So, what's the most likely explanation for Spring-HeeledJack? The leading theory it started as a prank, maybe by the Marquis or someone like him using a costume and spring boots. But a simple prank can't explain the legend's scale and longevity. Mass hysteria played a role. Fear and sensational news turned shadows into monsters. Copycats kept the legend alive, each new sighting fueling the myth. The story became bigger than any one person. Still, some details, glowing eyes, fire-breathing, remain hard to explain. The truth is likely a messy mixed prankster, panic, copycats, and a really good story. The mystery endures. Decades passed and sightings faded, but the legend of Spring-HeeledJack endures. Why? Because he's the perfect mystery historical puzzle, supernatural thriller, and cautionary tale. He's the ultimate bogeyman, part man, part demon, always unpredictable. His story reflects Victorian anxieties, fear of crime, class tension, and the clash of science and superstition. Exploring his legend is a window into the mindset of the era. He's a cultural artifact, a piece of folklore that reveals as much about society as about the Phantom himself. Most of all, his story is unresolved. No confession, no body, no explanation. That's the magic. It leaves room for our imaginations. Was he a prankster, a demon, an alien, or mass hysteria? The legend invites us to keep asking questions, to keep exploring the shadows. Spring-HeeledJack may have vanished from London's streets, but he leaps forever through our imagination. The mystery lives on.